I never imagined the hardest betrayal of my life would come from the two people I loved the most, my son and the woman he married. It didn't happen overnight. It was slow, subtle, like the quiet dripping of a faucet, until one day, your entire floor is soaked. I'm Mary Collins, 68, retired nurse, widow, and, apparently, an unwelcome guest in my own home. After my husband died, I moved in with my son Brian. He and his wife Alana had just had their first baby, little Noah, and they needed help. I offered. Gladly. I cooked, cleaned, watched Noah so they could rest, paid most of the bills with my retirement, and never, ever asked for anything. I thought it was love, family, a three-generation home, filled with laughter and Sunday pancakes. But slowly, the tone shifted. At first, it was Alana making little comments. Mary, maybe leave the kitchen the way I like it? Or let me redo the baby's routine. No offense, I know you're from another time. Then Brian stopped sitting with me after dinner. He started texting more during our conversations. And when I asked him if something was wrong, he just said, Alana's under a lot of stress. Don't take it personally. But I did. Because I wasn't blind. I could feel the walls closing in one gesture at a time. And then last week, it happened. I came home from the store, just 3 bags of groceries and a tired back. And Alana was waiting for me at the door, smiling wide. That rehearsed kind of smile. The kind that hides something sharp behind it. Oh, perfect timing, Mary, she chirped. My sister's moving in for a while. Just until she gets back on her feet. I froze. My sister? She clapped her hands and added cheerfully, We set her up in your room. It has the best light. Great for her anxiety. I thought she was joking. I waited for Brian to say something. But he stood behind her, eyes low, silent. She didn't ask. She didn't discuss. She just decided. I walked down the hallway. My door was wide open. My books stacked in boxes. My bed gone. In its place, a pile of makeup bags, pink throw pillows, and someone else's perfume in the air. It wasn't my room anymore. Alana leaned in behind me and whispered like we were friends. We moved your things into the office. Hope that's okay. We'll make it cozy. The office. A glorified storage closet with no door, no windows, and a folding cot. I looked at Brian. He still said nothing. Just rubbed the back of his neck. In that moment, something inside me cracked. Not with rage, but with realization. I wasn't part of this family anymore. I was convenient. Until I wasn't. And I knew. I wasn't going to fight for a place in a home I paid to keep warm. I was going to take it back. On my terms. With grace, and with fire. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. Because I knew. If I did, Alana would turn it into a story about how dramatic I was. How the old lady couldn't handle change. How I refused to adapt. I wasn't giving her that power. Instead, I nodded. Quiet. Frozen. And that night, while they laughed in the living room, I packed a single suitcase. 3 outfits. My late husband's photo. My blood pressure pills. And the deed to the house. Yes, the house. Because that part they all conveniently forgot. This house wasn't theirs. It wasn't Brian's. And it sure as hell wasn't Alana's. It was mine. Bought with money I saved. With nights I worked overtime. And days I skipped lunch to pay the mortgage. When Brian and Alana asked to move in 4 years ago, I didn't hesitate. They were just starting out, drowning in student loans and baby bottles. So I opened my doors. And I never asked for rent. Not a dime. I even paid off the last chunk of the mortgage myself. Just to keep the stress off them. And now I was sleeping on a cot in a windowless room. I slipped out early the next morning. No goodbye. No scene. Just a call to someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Tom Delgado. My old neighbor's son. Now a real estate attorney. Tom, I said. I need to talk. Today. He didn't ask questions. We met at a quiet diner by the lake. I told him everything. The insults. The slow freeze-out. The move into my room without consent. And the worst part, Brian. My only child. The boy I raised alone. Just standing there, letting it happen. Tom listened, then pulled out a folder. "Mary," he said, "this house is fully yours. No shared ownership. No lease. You can sell it, evict them, change your will, anything." I sipped my coffee and let those words sink in. I had the power. I just forgot it. Because I let love blind me. But not anymore. "They want me out?" I said, quietly. "Fine. Then I'll go." But they're coming with me. That afternoon, I went back to the house like nothing had changed. I made dinner. Spaghetti and meatballs. Brian's favorite. They didn't ask where I'd been. They didn't ask why I was so quiet. I think they assumed I was sulking, that I'd get over it, that I'd fall back in line like always. I smiled. Let them think that. The next morning, I called a cleaning service. "Can you do a deep clean? Full top-to-bottom job?" "The place is in Oakland." "Yes, it's mine." The woman on the line said they could be there Friday. Perfect. Because that dusty little house, the one I hadn't set foot in for 6 years, was about to be my home again. I drove out the next day, keys in my hand, heart pounding. The place was small. A little 2-bedroom bungalow with cracked shutters and a sagging porch. But it was mine. The moment I stepped inside, the smell hit me. Old wood. Dust. A faint trace of the lavender oil I used to rub on my husband's shoulders. The furniture was still there. Outdated, yes, but familiar. The faded blue couch we bought on a whim. The chipped coffee table that survived 3 toddlers and 1 puppy. My kitchen. Yellow tile, humming fridge, and sunlight pouring through the back window. And best of all, silence. Not cold silence, but peace. I walked through each room, touching the walls like I was saying hello. Then I sat down on the edge of the bed, the same one where I held Brian during his fevers, and cried the night his father died. This house held my memories, my truth, and no one could take that from me. That night, I didn't sleep at Brian's. I stayed in my real home, with chamomile tea, a knit blanket, and the kind of stillness you can only feel when no one expects anything from you. They thought they had one, that I was out. They had no idea. I had just stepped back into power. I didn't text. I didn't call. I let the silence speak for me. 3 days passed before Brian noticed. He called once, then again. Left a voicemail. "Mom, are you okay? Just wondering when you might come back. Noah misses you." I didn't reply. Not out of spite, but because I finally understood something. They didn't want me around. Not really. They wanted what I gave them. Free childcare. Free groceries. Free rent. But me? My presence? That was just background noise. I was tired of being their wallpaper. By the end of the week, Tom had drafted everything. Will revisions. Ownership confirmations. Power of attorney paperwork. Just in case. I signed it all. Steady hand. No hesitation. Then I made one more call. A real estate agent. Sharp. Efficient. Her name was Serena, and she didn't blink when I said, "I want to sell a house. It's clean, mortgage-free, and occupied by people who think it belongs to them." She laughed. The good kind. The kind that said, "You're not the first woman to do this." We met the next day. She took photos, walked the layout, made notes. "This is a great property," she said. "Location alone will move it fast." Good, I nodded. "I want it listed by Monday." And it was. High-res pictures. Clear title. Open house scheduled for Saturday. Brian and Alana still hadn't noticed. They were too busy soaking up the life I had built. Playing house in the home they never earned. But that open house, that was going to be their wake-up call. They wanted me quiet, so I gave them silence. But I made sure it would echo, loud enough to shake their entire world. Saturday came with sunshine, and a storm they never saw coming. I didn't go to the open house. I didn't need to. Serena texted me as soon as she arrived. "Keys work. Photos up. Buyers on the way. You're officially on the market." I made tea, sat by my window in Oakland, and waited. Back at the other house, the one they thought was theirs, Brian and Alana had no clue. Until the doorbell rang. Serena greeted the first couple with a smile. This is a beautiful 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood. Move-in ready. Sole ownership. No lease complications. Alana came down the stairs in her robe. Confused. Excuse me? Who are you? Serena didn't flinch. She held up the authorization. I'm the listing agent. Grace Collins has listed this property for sale. Alana's face went pale. Then red. Then green. What are you talking about? We live here. Serena smiled, calm as glass. But you don't own it. And there's no lease. So legally you're guests. Neighbors started peeking out their windows. Because word spreads fast on quiet streets. Brian pulled up minutes later. Still in gym shorts, coffee in hand. He saw the visitors, the clipboards, the wide-eyed buyers in his living room. And his face collapsed. Mom wouldn't do this, he said quietly. But he knew. Of course I would. They pushed me out. Now I was showing them the door. I didn't hear from either of them that night. But Serena did. Apparently, Alana tried calling the police. Claimed I was illegally selling their home. The officer took one look at the deed. Confirmed my name. And said the words I'd been waiting to hear. She's the legal owner. You'll need to vacate once it's sold. The illusion was shattered. They weren't homeowners. They weren't landlords. They were squatters in a story they didn't write. And the author? Had just taken the pen back. To the manipulators, I said. They moved into my bedroom without asking. Now they're learning what happens when you cross the wrong woman. After that, the calls stopped. But I wasn't done. I called my old neighbor Linda. She still lived next door to the house. Loved gossip like it was oxygen. I asked one simple question. So, how's it going over there? She chuckled. Oh honey, it's a mess. She's been ranting on the porch, saying the house will be theirs soon. Like you're just keeping it warm for them. Perfect. Because people like Alana forget. Neighbors have ears. And smartphones. By the end of the week, I had 2 audio clips. Alana's voice, clear as day. She can't keep it forever. Once she's out of the picture, this place is ours. Entitlement. Recorded and timestamped. I saved them in a folder labeled Receipts. Meanwhile, Serena was already fielding offers. 3 by Friday. 1 full cash. Fast close. I told her, take it. The papers moved quickly. Tom had everything prepped. He smiled when I signed. Grace, he said, you just sold a $700,000 house out from under them. I smiled back. No. I just reclaimed my piece. When the notice went out, Brian called again. Voice shaking. Mom, you're serious? We don't even have another place yet. You're selling the house we're living in. I said it slowly, so there'd be no confusion. You're not living in your house, Brian. You're squatting in mine. And time's up. No one came to save them. Because no one owed them rescue. I wasn't their safety net anymore. I was the storm. It happened on a Friday. Bright. Breezy. Almost cheerful. The moving truck pulled up at 9 a.m. sharp. Serena's assistant handed the official notice to Alana at the door. She screamed. Like the sky had fallen. Like someone stole her crown. Don't touch my things. Where's Grace? She can't do this. The movers didn't flinch. They had a job to do. Brian stood in the driveway, shoulders slumped, holding Noah, who clutched a toy truck and stared at the chaos around him in silence. Neighbors watched from their porches. Phones out. Some filming. Some sipping coffee like it was a live soap opera. Heather's parents, the same ones who once lounged in my master bedroom, were now trying to tape shut a wobbly box of china, sweating in the heat, waiting for someone to save them. But no one came. Because no one owed them anything. They found a tiny apartment across town. No elevator. 1 bathroom. A 15-minute walk to the nearest store. Reality had moved in. And it wasn't friendly. Brian texted that night. Mom, you win. We're leaving. I don't know when you changed, but you're not the woman who raised me. I stared at the screen for a moment. Then typed. No, Brian. I'm exactly the woman who raised you. You just stopped listening. A week later, the sale closed. The funds cleared. Tom finalized the transfer. The house was no longer mine. But neither was the burden. I used part of the money to build a trust, to cover the rest of my life. Healthcare, travel, a little charity work for women like me, ones who gave too much, until they finally said, enough. Now, I drink coffee by the lake. I read books I never had time for. I take walks with friends who ask nothing from me. Brian still sends the occasional message. Alana doesn't. No surprise. And Noah? I send him birthday cards. And I hope one day he understands. You can love someone and still walk away. Because peace, real peace, isn't about being surrounded by family. It's about finally feeling at home in your own life. And I am. Finally. Undeniably. Home. So yes, I walked away. Not because I stopped loving them, but because I started loving myself. No more shrinking. No more silence. No more pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. They tried to push me aside. So I opened the door and walked through it first. And now, I sleep in peace. I laugh without flinching. And I wake up to a life that finally feels like mine. This isn't revenge. It's freedom. And it's beautiful. If you enjoyed my story, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Would you have done the same in my shoes? Or would you have stayed and kept the peace? If you heard a glitch or mistake, let me know. The voice you heard was generated by AI, because I'm still saving up for a real mic. Thanks for listening. With love, your Anna.